Welcome to the Mind Your Business Mentor podcast. I'm Stephanie, your mentor and your host, and I'm so happy to be with you today to talk about procrastination. But before we get into procrastination, no pun intended, I wanted to talk to you about why I even started this podcast, this community, this business. I started it to help entrepreneurs, solopreneurs specifically, overcome overwhelm, overcome burnout, and to build a business that is in alignment with the life that they actually want to live, and build that business that can fund the vision that they have for their life. And that's cumbersome, right? There's a lot of noise, there's a lot of hats that you have to wear, and time is not always on your side. But I'm here in front of you on video because my mentor told me that I needed to record a video and upload it to YouTube before he met with me the next day. So here I am, and I have to do it in one take. I'm not allowed to edit, so bear with me. So if I stutter, if I flip over my words, if I see just like that, what's a flip over your word? How do you flip over a word? You see what I mean? See, if I was doing audio only like I did in season one, I could snip that out. I could snip it out. But like I said, bear with me as we get and we labor on this very, very touchy subject for entrepreneurs. So before we do that, I want to talk to you about this podcast. As I said, season one was a audio only, and I had my reasons for that. I didn't want to be on video stuttering. I didn't want to mispronounce words. I didn't want to forget my thought, and I tend to ramble when I talk, especially when I'm talking about something that I'm passionate about. I could talk your ear off, right? And I didn't want to do that. So I scripted my things out so that I could stay on course and deliver value, because that was my ultimate goal, is to make sure that I delivered what it is that I promised to deliver in that particular episode. So I had my reasons or excuses, depending on how you want to look at it, right? I didn't want to be worried about how I looked. I didn't want to worry about my hair, my clothes, the lighting. I didn't want to do all of that because at that time uh, I was actually producing a podcast 5 days a week. And it's like, oh, I got to do this every single day before I get on camera. Nah, I'd rather just do audio. And in season two, I had this bright idea. Oh, I was like, you know what? I'm going to stand out. I'm going to stand out and I am going to start a AI driven interactive podcast, because I found this tool that did this amazing stuff where I could upload my previous content and they would discuss it and elaborate on it and interject me into the conversation, right? And I did 4 episodes. And you would think, as exciting as that was, I would have stayed on course. But no, I procrastinated. I procrastinated because of the low engagement, very little feedback, didn't seem supported, it didn't take off like I expected it to. I produced 4 episodes and then procrastinated for all of those reasons. And then I met with David Shands. He said, you need to do video, without knowing any of this information that I'm telling you guys right now. And in that moment, the alignment came into fruition. At that moment, right there, told me everything I needed to know. I had been on pause and it was time to push play on my purpose, right? Um, I've been wanting to do video for a long time, but I've found every reason under the sun not to do it. Now, why do we procrastinate? Let's break this down. Why do we do this to ourselves? It's not laziness, which is most what most people think. It's a mixture of misalignment, a lack of clarity, fear of failure and of success, fear of judgment, waiting for validation or permission, constant comparison, perfectionism and overthinking, lack of structure or mentorship, no real internal trust or belief. And let's take a closer look at one of these procrastination triggers at a time. Let's dig deep on it, right? Because once you call it out, you can call it up and you can move through it. Now, clarity. That brings us to the 5D philosophy, a philosophy that I created. There's decide, discover, deliver, decide, discover, develop, deliver, and dominate. It's like, hey, you better get it together. See, that's why I do audio only. No, but one of the biggest reasons why we procrastinate is because we're not clear on what it is we're exactly trying to do. But there, I can't edit this. Jeez, my knees. But here's the thing, clarity doesn't show up first. It shows up after you start moving. Now, with decide, obviously you've taken some action because you decided to become an entrepreneur. That was your starting point, right? And then discover. You discovered a business model, an opportunity, or a lane that felt like it fit. Maybe it was affiliate marketing, digital products, coaching, whatever it was. You saw potential and you went to work. And then develop. So you started developing your business, maybe through YouTube University, maybe from a paid course or mentorship, or even from somebody that has never even done what it is that you're setting out to do. But either way, you started developing it and then delivering. But here's where we actually get stuck. Are you delivering? Because most people get stuck between discover and develop. That's the zone of unfinished business. How many projects you got? How many tabs do you have open on your computer right now? Because you swear up and down before the end of the day, you're going to take care of that issue, or you're going to do that research, or you're going to pay that bill, or you're going to finish that landing page, or you're going to do your email follow-ups, or you work out whatever it is. We got too many irons in the fire. We're doing too much because if we're doing a lot, it gives us the satisfaction that we're trying. But in actuality, we're procrastinating. We're working aimlessly. We're working without direction. That's where that clarity comes into play. And like I said, you're not going to have clarity right off the bat, but you can have an idea of where you want to go and reverse engineer it. You can have an idea of where you want to go and start moving toward it, even if you don't know how you're going to get there. Skateboard, skis, rowboat, it doesn't matter. But you've got to take action because in the space between what you start and what you never finish is procrastination. Just imagine if you wanted to take a trip to New York and you got in the plane and the pilot started going down the runway that you've never finished, right? You didn't finish what you started, right? But the runway is one analogy. But the other piece is the plane, the pilot goes going down the runway and he stops and he starts rethinking the plan. He starts second guessing the plan. Now imagine that he did that 5 or 6 times. You would never leave the ground. And that's what happens when we don't deliver. When you pause your purpose, when you don't finish what you start, you can't course correct on a flight that never took off. And even once the plane does take off, guess what? The flight is never a straight line to the destination. The pilot is constantly course correcting along the way to make sure that you reach your destination. And that's how your purpose works too. You don't need perfect clarification to get started. You just need to be in the air, adjusting as you go. Another reason why is comparison, the comparison trap. You're comparing your inconsistency to someone else's years of consistency. That leads to shame and keeps you frozen. You're not behind, you're just paused. It's time to unpause. And while you're at it, can we talk about the need for outside validation? You need somebody to tell you that you're great. Don't get me started. And then the permission. You already took that. You became an entrepreneur. You could, so you could stop asking for permission, permission to rest, permission to grow, permission to be hired, permission to take a vacation, permission to go to the bathroom, permission to travel, permission to work on your own terms. That's why you became an entrepreneur. But now you're an entrepreneur and you're still looking for permission. So why are you still waiting? You already took control. It's time to act like it. This is where I've got to give you a push, not from judgment, because I just told you how I procrastinate on a number of different levels. If you was listening closely, you could probably pick out 4 or 5 things that I've been procrastinating on. Procrastinating on, right? Um, but take control, mind your business, decide, discover, develop, deliver, and dominate. Design your MYB lifestyle. That's a lifestyle of working less and making more, having the money and the time to be who you want to be to your loved ones, to your organizations, to your churches, to your community, for you, to you. The realest truth is trusting yourself. Everyone says that you need to be known, like, and trust in the marketplace. But do you know, like, and trust yourself? Be yourself. Be your own best friend. Be your loudest cheerleader. Be your own biggest supporter. When you trust yourself and stop pausing because you're finally free to show up as you are. You're finally free to show up as you. And when you trust yourself, you'll stop waiting for someone else to tell you that it's time. Push play on your purpose. The pause ends here. It's time to unfreeze, unlock, and move forward. So if you needed a sign to stop hesitating, this is it. Reflect where you are today. What's the one thing that you can do right now to get you into motion? Subscribe to the channel because apparently I'm doing video podcasting now. Share this with anybody you think that will get some value out of it. Join the Mind Your Business Mentor podcast community. It's actually called the MYB Lifestyle Community. Join that just by going to joinmyb.com. The link is down in the you know what I'm saying, in the description. I mean, I promise you, I'm gonna have a hard time, a very hard time uploading this without editing anything. I'm going to be critiquing how I hold my head, where my eyes are at, whether or not I pause too long. But the bottom line is, I took action and I will produce a video once a week, every week, consistently until I find my tribe, until I find my community. I have a beautiful group of people in the community right now. We're just getting started. We're just getting started. So if you would like to join a community of like-minded individuals who are working very hard to learn how to build a business from their bedroom, their kitchen table, their guest room, wherever their home office is, because they're doing it all themselves and they're wearing all the hats and they need to do it in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming, doesn't feel heavy, doesn't feel daunting, and they don't feel burnt out. At the same time, still not making the type of money that they need to live the type of life that they dream of. Join our community so we can figure this thing out together because Your life is your business, so you should mind it well. Until next time, have a blessed one and mind your business.